Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Saturday morning. In this video I want to talk about Dylan Rounds and Aidan Clune. I made a video yesterday and I talked about what has been said about a possible connection between the two cases, because it's uncanny how similar these two young men look. They're both around the same height, they're both exactly the same age, and they went missing under strange circumstances in the same part of the world. Aidan went missing in Elko County, Nevada, and I believe certainly the key to Dylan's disappearance also lies in Elko County, even though he went missing from Lucin, Utah. It's just over the state line. I said in that video that although there's just some uncanny similarities, I don't believe the two cases are connected, or at least if they are connected, I don't have enough information to be able to ascertain that. But my hunch was they're not connected, that sometimes coincidences happen, as was the case with Brian Laundrie. Just so happened to be in the vicinity of Moab, Utah, when Kylan and Crystal were murdered, and loads of people, said this has got to be Brian Laundrie. Nothing ever happens in Moab. He hits the town and there's a double murder. But it turned out not to be the case. Illusory correlations do happen. Two unusual circumstances, it's easy to think there is a connection between them when in fact there isn't. And having listened to Aidan Clune's mother being interviewed by Sleuth Mom, which was a great interview, go over and listen to it. I'll put it in the description box of this video. I'm now quite sure that there isn't a connection between them. And they're very different. The disappearances are under very different circumstances. So Aidan went missing around the 27th of April. According to his mother, he'd been having serious mental health problems for a while. He was very, very paranoid that people were watching him, that people were after him. His mother believed that he was having a psychotic break. Possibly, partly medication induced. She said he was on some kind of antidepressants that he possibly had an adverse reaction to, and that can happen. But 19 it's an age when mental illness, such as schizophrenia, tend to rear its ugly head. And I just wonder whether, the paranoia, just this psychotic belief that someone's after you when they're not, was the beginning of an illness such as schizophrenia. And I say this because I've experienced exactly this in my own family. One of my stepbrothers at the age of 19 was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and as his mother was describing Aidan's behaviour, I thought about Ian a lot. I was 14 when Ian was diagnosed. He's 5 years older than me, and Ian came to live with us. A few months after he came to live with us, he previously lived with his mother, but who couldn't cope, so he came to live with us. My stepdad was his biological dad, and he ran away. He was on medication. He'd been hospitalised for a while. They thought they'd got his medication stabilised. This was the 1980s. I think medicines that treat psychosis have got better over the years. But it turns out he wasn't taking his medication properly, and he ran away. And to this day, we don't know why. He couldn't explain why. But he was like Aidan's mother described, paranoid. He thought that God had implanted a device in his brain to listen to him and to give him orders. It was really bad. And he ran away and he didn't come back. It was the days before the internet. And the police got involved. In the days it took them to start tracing him, you know, he's an adult, but they considered him vulnerable because of his schizophrenia, and he hadn't taken his medication with him. So they put out kind of a national alert. We don't have like an Amber Alert system in the UK, but the police forces kind of all talk to each other throughout the UK. I searched miles and miles and miles and miles of these hills, of these fields, with my dog, who was a Collie Cross German Shepherd. She was an excellent tracker dog. I took her down tunnels, took her everywhere for miles around here. I skipped school. And I just thought, if he's paranoid, if he's scared, if he's hiding, or if something horrible has befallen him, then he's got to be somewhere. Anyway, the police traced a bank transaction from Wigan, which is 4 or 5 miles in that direction. So I knew he'd gone. He wasn't in this area at all. So I was just completely lost. I didn't know what to do. I guess I feel like I'm like Dylan Round's mother, that rather than sitting waiting for news, you've got to go out and do something. So I went to Wigan looking for him, and nothing. And then my dad, his biological father, was like the fear and just the devastation that I saw. Something resonates with me because I remember it so clearly in my own family. But there was a positive outcome in Ian's case. About 2 weeks later, the police in Inverness, which is up the top of Scotland, it's what, 300 miles? It's over 300 miles, 350 miles maybe, north of here, in that direction, picked up a young man who they thought was drunk, wandering about kind of in the road in the middle of the night. And they took him back to police station, quickly realised that he wasn't drunk, he was psychotic. They fed him, they looked after him, they looked on their database, they found him, and they made a call. And I was up it was the middle of the night, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was up, I was awake, I took the call. This police officer explained who she was, got my dad up, and him and my mum drove the 350 miles in the middle of the night to get him and bring him home. And in telling this story, I guess I've mentioned it before in videos, but I just want people to know that I know what this feels like. I do. And it was a positive outcome in our case, but it could have so easily not been. He could have, I don't know, taken an overdose. He could have drunk himself to death. He could have fallen foul of people. You just don't know. And that feeling of devastation and confusion. And I'm a problem solver, so that I had to go out and actually do something and try my best. But not everybody deals with it that way. Some people just go numb. Some people shut down, and some people are so hysterical and upset that they can't function. I've seen it all. Anyway, Aidan, his mum said he was in some kind of psychotic break. He said he couldn't stay at home, which was Sonoma, California. He was driving around. This was like April the 25th. He was driving around. His mother was in contact with him. And he said he was going to go to his grandparents' place in Salt Lake City, Utah. So that's the link. I didn't know until that interview why Aidan was in that part of the world, like what, 700-800 miles away from his home. I didn't know whether he was on a road trip, he was running away from someone, I didn't know. But he was going to his grandparents, and apparently he made it there. He had some kind of strange experience with his grandpa and kind of drove away with his grandpa and wanted his grandpa to get out of the vehicle so he could drive away. There was something very strange, and then he left, and it seems that he was heading back west. And I think it was the 27th of April, there was a gas station kind of payment at Wendover. If I'm getting the specific details of this wrong, I apologise, but I followed this as much as I could from Aidan's mother, but go and listen to it all yourself. She explains it in detail. And she had a terrible time trying to get law enforcement agencies to cooperate with her to go and find him. Like, she had to ring like Sonoma and Elko, and you know, they were denying responsibility. You know, Sonoma were just saying it's not our problem, he's not here. So really, really horrible situation. You know, she's a single mother, it's her only child, and my heart just breaks for her. But his vehicle was found with the door open, some things inside, on Highway 93, about 50 miles south of Wells, outside a place called Curry, which is just a tiny little, not even close to a town. This is a place called Curry. And they tracked him for miles into the mountains. They found footprints. They knew that he'd been taking his shoes on and off. They tracked him for miles, and then nothing. He's just gone. And his mother believes that he just got out and was intending to go back. Like, I think they found his guitar on a hill. So he was just out there, I guess, being out there in nature. And she speculates that maybe the searchers, in going to his car and maybe locking up his car and then looking for him, scared him. It fed into the belief that he had that people were after him. Can you imagine the fear? You know, completely unfounded, but a reason why he would run away from the searchers rather than to them. And if there was a helicopter flying overhead and drones flying, how terrifying would that have been for someone in a psychotic episode who believed that people were chasing them? But he's just gone. He's just gone. Now, there is a search today. I don't know whether I'll get this video up in time, because I'm not sure how many hours I'm ahead of Nevada. Maybe 6 or even 7 hours. I'm not sure whether it's mountain time. Might be 7 hours. Anyway, I don't know if I'll get this video up in time, but I'll try. But starting at 6 a.m, there's a meeting point in Curry. Anybody who is able to search in that area, they just want people out there, boots on the ground, to try and find him. His mother believes he's up there. They're not treating it as a case of foul play. They just believe he's up there, and they need to bring him home. So that's Aidan's story. Now, over to Dylan. Very, very different situation. Now, I've made a few videos about Dylan, and everything screams of foul play in that case. And finally, you know, after 3 weeks, or into the third week now of Dylan being missing, finally law enforcement have declared it a criminal investigation. So hopefully things will now ramp up and they'll actually start interrogating people. I've talked about Kurt and his brother yesterday. Kurt is the owner of the Saddle Saw Bar. It's possible that Dylan was having some kind of relationship with Kurt, or if not, they were certainly friends. There were certainly close ties between them. I believe that Dylan used to stay at a trailer in Montello that was Kurt's. He used to go to this bar for his food a lot. And Dylan's mother has said, you know, Kurt has told her a story of Dylan being held, and there's this story from this private investigator who appeared on Savgirl the other day, that Kurt's brother is an RSO who's kidnapped women before. There's a whole lot of strangeness. Now, are these stories true? We don't know. But everything in Dylan's case screams foul play. So hopefully answers will come now in Dylan's case, because it's deemed a criminal investigation rather than a missing person. So I think things are moving in the right direction there. It doesn't sound good in terms of, you know, recovering Dylan alive, but still, again, it's about bringing him home. The not knowing is horrible. I've experienced bereavement of close family members, as well as having a missing person in my family, and I just can't imagine what that would be like going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. I can't imagine. So although the outcome might not be good, it still answers, and having that kind of closure, I guess, means that you can start to understand and get some justice for Dylan. So both of those young men are out there somewhere. In Dylan's case, I truly believe somebody knows something, and then I hope that law enforcement now get those answers. And for Aidan, I hope that his mother is able to bring him home. So that's all I've got to say for now. I'm going to closely follow these two cases, and I'll update as information comes in. So bye for now, guys. Goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Bye, guys.